Thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it. And then we have principal reports and math update. So you guys can decide, Proctor, Peasley, who wants to go first? All right. Come on up. You can sit at the lunch table.
It's 2 years now. It's just been a while. Super volunteer. And I'm here to give you a little recap about what's going on at Proctor. I have Pam Markey, my co-president, there helping me as well. Also, we have a new treasurer, Carrie. I'm going to go with C because I always mess that up. And we have a vacant space for secretary. But I have a great group of kindergarten moms who have stepped things up. So we're excited for the next few years as far as that goes. All right, so we'll actually read through these, and you can go to the next slides and check out some pictures if you'd like. We started doing some family fun nights. So we had a back to school party. We chalked the walk before the teachers came in. So we had a really cute setup, so talk about that message of bullying. All right, when we did our Apple Fest parade, you can see there we invested in a new Waddles costume, and we had to buy a big and a small body because sometimes we had students such as my second grade daughter who gets to be Waddles. We also, you can see our trunk or treat that we participated in the fall. That's that big picture off to the side. And then also we like to do around the holidays, we do a Claytime fundraiser. We host it in our cafeteria. You can do cute little things like that. Also along those days, what else do we do? We also host a holiday shop where everybody gets to come and they can pick out the little trinkets and things like that. So that's always fun. We did our book fair in the fall and we'll have one in the spring. And if you go to the next slide, you can see we invited an author, Jarrett Krasowska. He does the Lunch Lady series and a couple other things. I honestly didn't realize until he came that he had come to Proctor, but it was well before the tenure. I have a 5th grader, so it was before my kids were there. So he was excited. We had 2 separate presentations with him. He did a K through 2 and then a 3 through 5, and then he also pulled out all the 5th graders, and they had a special workshop with him for an hour about how to make graphic art and to make comic books and stuff like that. Another big thing that we did is we kind of stepped up our staff appreciation this year. We've been feeding our staff a lot more this year. So, back to school, we catered to Wegmans, parent-teacher conferences that half day. We were able to partner with a restaurant night, and we bought all the teachers Anzio's pizza, and then we actually got the kickback from it. So that was really nice. We've fed them during the holidays, readathon, which was when our author came to visit. We also fed them. We've given them some Amazon gift cards around the holidays as a thank you. And the really exciting one is Nan's over in Southborough on Route 9. They donated an entire lunch to our staff recently, and it was literally worth 2 full lunches. It was incredibly generous. And we didn't even realize they would do that. They completely offered it up, so we were super grateful for that. We also fund teacher grants. So we funded a setup that's going to go in front of the office with some beanbag chairs. It's a relaxation area. Yes, a chill zone. So we gave them funds for that. We bought a new foam wedge for the gym. What else do we do? We always fund the math bags. The library will get about $1,000 of books once everything is done with that upgrade. And of course, we're going to take, instead of Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week in May, we're going to spread it out and do 5 separate days, maybe once a week, to kind of make it, spread it out, make it easier to execute, and then make everything a little bit more special instead of being completely compressed into that. So here you can see our expenses. We have a few scholarships. We've had some PTO overhead just as far as replacing the Waddles costume and a few evergreen items that we bought, like a mobile speaker and things like that. Staff appreciation, we upped this year. Staff grants are right in there as well. Enrichment includes that author visit and also the BMX presentation. And we also fund all of the buses for the field trips. The parents still do fund as much as they can of the actual admission to the field trip, but if there's scholarships or if there's any sort of difference with that fundraising, we always float that difference as well. Then so for fundraisers, we've actually been a little light. We were lucky enough to have some carryover from last year. So we actually took away our readathon this year and just made it an author visit and an event. It wasn't actually a fundraiser. But otherwise, we get about $100 every month from the Bay State Textiles. I had a volunteer who was able to really ramp up our restaurant nights, so we've had one almost every month, which we haven't had in maybe 2 years. Coffee Pond are the pictures. We made about $200 from that, $300. Benevity is one I actually discovered last year through my husband's employer, Dell. Benevity is a way that you can, larger corporate companies like Dell or Paychex, I think is another one, they really like to match nonprofits, and so you can set yourself up in a portal, and like my husband, he earns volunteer hours, and then they match that, and then that all gets donated to us. So that's been a huge help. We didn't do anything to do that. We just are lucky enough to receive it. Our biggest fundraiser this fall was the Fun Run, which we had a lot of fun running around. It's pretty self-explanatory. And also, coming up on Saturday, we have our other big fundraiser, the Spring Fair, with our online auction. So if you go to the next slide, you can see things are a little estimated right now, but you can see our biggest events. We actually are lucky. We host family fun events not as fundraisers, but they do tend to kick back some money, which is pretty nice. And then our Fun Run, we raised about $5,000, and we're hoping our Spring Fair will estimate about $6,000. So right now, our expenses are about the same as our fundraising. If not, we do have some money floated so that we can carry that difference. So, any questions? I get very red when I present.
Okay, so if a parent out there has not gotten their trinkets to the boxes or their items to the raffle.
Hypothetical situation,
Okay,
if this were
there's
to
a
happen.
parent out there in the world of Proctor who is still trying to get those items in, how much longer do we have?
Good news.
Okay.
We will take your trinkets. So we do a trinket drive. When we do the Spring Fair, we use Crystal Entertainment. We have all these inflatables. It's a carnival atmosphere. And then we also do these smaller games in the hallway that are parent run and kind of parent designed. And they win trinkets. And lucky for you, if you've got a plethora of trinkets at your house that you don't want anymore, we will take them and give them back to your child as a prize. So it's a service. So the box is still there.
Okay.
Pam and I just went through all the trinkets yesterday, but we will add more trinkets.
Somebody reached out to me right before I got here and was like, hey, I have a kindergartner and I need to bring a raffle item. Can I still do that?
You absolutely
I'll let 'em
can.
know.
The easiest way to do the raffle basket is to Venmo money directly to that. If you have a physical item, you can reach out directly to, Michelle is doing the Lego basket for kindergarten. You can reach out right to her.
Okay.
And that's not a problem. And we appreciate everything that everybody does at any point in time.
And their fare is gonna be a little different this year, because
Yes.
no
food, no kidding. No food, no fun. No food, no fun. Wait, we fall outside
because
of
the
food.
inflatables, right?
No
They're-
floats,
No floats, no
no
food, no
fun.
fun.
Luckily, we fall out of the food. We're
Yeah.
okay in the
The
food
window, yes,
restaurant.
yeah.
So yes, so we have removed, we used to have 3 physical inflatables. We had an obstacle course, a bouncy house, and something else that the kids would climb on and bounce and get out all their jumps. And so once we,
Rock climbing, I think.
was it, yes. Yeah, oh, the big slide, that's, yes. So we took out those 3, and luckily Crystal Entertainment has so many different options that we replaced them out. We have like a hoolie ball thing and like a basketball dunk. It's gonna be great. We're really,
They're awesome.
yeah. So there's plenty of things to do, and we really try to cater to K through 5.
Just one comment. I like the idea of having one day for teacher appreciation each week. I think teachers will really appreciate that.
That's what we're hoping. Go a little, be like, oh, it's a little lift in the week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a teacher, so I'll take it.
But they have really appreciated that. One of the things that Lisa didn't touch upon is also providing snacks for our monthly faculty meetings, which is, they're at the end of the school day and just having snacks, like, here we go, we're gonna do some professional learning, and so that's been tremendous. There's a cookie. It's really important, so.
Well, we appreciate all the hard work that you put in personally, and you have a team, your team puts in.
I feel you.
I might have experienced it once.
Might have experienced a little bit of it, yeah.
But
No,
it's a hard job, it's, thankless. And the hardest thing is getting people to volunteer, and And I think people don't realize that you don't have to be a board member, you don't have to do it, like, just come, help out little things, you know, and a little bit of help can go a long way.
Absolutely, yeah.
To make your kids' experience.
It is. I'm very grateful that I can do this while they're young, but yes, I'm always appreciative of any sort of volunteerism that we get.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we have Peasley.
I think this is the first time we ever had a cafeteria table.
I know, it's like, yeah, I was like,
Well, at Peasley, we would be like.
Well, that's true.
So this is good.
Yeah.
This is nice. So I'm Larissa Smullen. I'm the president of Peasley PTO. This is my first year doing it. Last year I was co-chair. So we have a new co-chair this year. It's Crystal Rodriguez. Our communications is Corinne Frick. We have two treasurers, so Amanda and Ella. Ella will be moving into the treasurer position next year. So it was kind of a transition year, but she's still helping Daisy Milton with enrichments. And then our teachers, Mrs. Donne and Miss Malisi, and of course our principal, Dr. Coakley. I can't say enough about the group of ladies though, because I work full time, so this is my other full-time job. So we've all just been a team doing this. So it's been great. So for this year, I think we missed the budget page, but okay. Our fundraising efforts were to support enrichment and spirit activities, to cover increasing the cost of the bus as well. So I heard a lot of feedback from parents being on soccer fields and everything, so I was trying to get back to how we can support the parents and what they're wanting. And one of the things that I found is that they didn't know where their money was going. So at the beginning of the year, we did a survey, and we asked parents, do you want general PTO meetings? That was something we had kind of stopped doing because no one was showing up, but I thought maybe we change the time or see what parents want. We also asked what they would like for fundraising activities as well as spirit events. And one thing we asked is whether they would like different fundraising activities or just a one and done donation, direct donation fundraiser. And surprisingly, most parents, or maybe not surprisingly, most parents just asked, can I just pay a certain amount and be done with all of the fundraising? So we tried that this year, and it actually ended up being very successful. We raised over $10,000 from our one and done direct donations, and that was done in October. And this was in lieu of some of our smaller fundraisers. So we didn't do a fun run this year. And that was maybe, we were thinking about maybe using that as spirit, but this year we decided we'll skip the fun run and just try the one and done. We also found that we needed general PTO meetings more in the evening, but maybe not every month. So we did do them once every 3 months. And one of them included math presentation by Mrs. Greenspan and Mrs. Lizett. And it was really great. We had a great turnout. We learned about the new math curriculum, which is great because I do hear nothing from my 4th grader. So I found out what they were doing and what will be coming in. So it was really wonderful. And from that, we did generate more parents coming in, and that actually got a few more volunteers from us. So a lot of our fundraisers, we did the one and done, and then we also just finished our readathon fundraiser, and we did the silent auction back in January. And then the little ones such as the Easy Breezy includes restaurant nights, box tops, textile bin, and then we also had business sponsorships. So if we go into so I believe that my actual budget is missing, but we did approve a budget this year of $27,000. So we did increase it by $2,000 from last year. We wanted to put more money into enrichment and more money into our staff appreciation. So at the beginning of the year, I did sent out PTO sponsor letters to 200 companies around Northborough. And this year we decided to base them off kind of a tier level. So if they donated a certain amount, we called them a gold sponsor. If they donated another amount, it was silver. And We based it off whether we put them into into Parent Square, or if we put them onto, like Facebook. But we were asking, we were happy with any donation, so it was just any type of sponsorship is really great. So we did get quite a bit of companies to also give for the sponsorship. And one thing we also found for the direct donations is that a lot of parents their companies did do match basing as well. So a lot of the money came from matching. And we'd like to thank the Northborough Garden Club for their generous grant as well, so we'll use that towards plants in the spring. So for enrichments this year, we do try to do 2 per grade. Some of these we don't pay, some of them are free, and I didn't put all the free ones on, I think some of them are missing. But we have Children's Dentistry of Northborough, America's Best Defense, they did an anti-bullying, they always do a really wonderful job. And then in terms of, we had Discovery Museum come in for grades 1, 2, and 3. They were a great hit. I volunteered for one of them, and the kids had so much fun playing with. It was a sound. The Delilah the whale, it was this giant whale. I didn't get to see it, but that was a big hit as well. My 4th grader couldn't stop talking about walking through a whale.
They go inside, like you get to see like what it looks like inside a whale?
Yes. And then they present inside and explain what the view is. So the kids walk through, they sit inside the whale, and then that's where the presentation is. They loved it. And then they come out and they tell them about the funding that they put toward their research, and the kids were just enthralled.
And that's a separate company, it's not like part of the Delilah the whale, it's not like from the Discovery.
No, it's a separate, it's kind of a, what do you call that? Like a no fund. Nonprofit, thank you. First day then cash, you know.
Yeah.
We also have Hands on Nature for kindergarten grades 1 and 2. Helmet design, the 5th grade did that. And then in the spring we'll have nickel pumpkins come for the incoming current kindergartens and grade 1s. As well as we'll have the Sky Dome inflatable planetarium, which will be a whole school event.
And it's not an inflatable where it's
You
an
don't jump.
exercise inflatable. It kind of it's a globe, like a.
We'll be by to
Yeah.
Yes. It'll be inspected.
We'll call our
No
insurance
running in and out of
adjuster.
I'll change the wording next
Yeah.
time. So our mission is to bring together a community. As I said, I'm new, so I'm trying to just for parents to raise awareness of what's going on in their school, and where the money's going, and just to have fun. And maybe if they have fun and experience the community, we might get volunteers that way as well. I'm very big on trying to get volunteers. So we did a welcome back picnic and ice cream truck at the beginning of the year. We've had Apex Days, and we just did one at Altitude Jump Park on Monday. We've done celebration books where kids the parents can buy a celebration book for their month if they would like for a birthday. We do monthly spirit days where during this time we collect donations for the food pantry. Winterfest, we just had that in January. At the end of January was our Winterfest. We had a groundhog theme this year. We did have Crystal Entertainment come, but they did the different throwing carnival games, which I think went over great. All the kids really loved them from what I could tell. The cookies in the corner, we had a cakewalk, and those were little pandas made by one of the parents that she donated to for the cakewalk. And we had paint your own pottery as well, so they did little decorations that came after. So it was a really fun event, and that's my little boy with at the groundhog.
Next time we're gonna need samples of those cookies,
Yeah.
just to make
Good
sure
idea.
that they're above board for the students, you gotta make sure.
And I think for Spirit, we'll do the end of year celebration coming up as well. So then for staff appreciation, we had a welcome back luncheon, as well as we added supplies to the staff room as well for the beginning of the year. We did a recovery breakfast after the first PTO meeting. Valentine's Day treats we did Valentine's Day treats this year, in which we got the Nothing But Cakes donated little gift cards for everyone to get a free a free cake. And Whoopie Pie truck came during the past conferences, and then we'll do Teacher Appreciation Week and then end of year luncheon. These are just little pictures from all of the events going on around the Northern Class. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. As I said, I'm always excited to hear what's going on with other schools, just to see, you know, to hear all the fun stuff that they're doing. The kids look so happy with everything that you're doing. So we appreciate all your hard work with everything that you do. Does anyone have any questions? I mean, I was asking my questions. I have a hard time waiting. It's gonna be really hard in a couple more months when I'm not the chair and I can't talk freely, you know, it's gonna be really hard. So I'm just enjoying the time while I have it. But thank you so much. Thank you for coming in tonight and thank you for presenting to us. Really, as Joan always says, your fundraising and your helping, it really helps us with our budgets and stuff, and to be able to give the kids a more fun experience that unfortunately we can't with our budgets. They don't allow it. So we appreciate all the stuff that you do.
And you are the last PTO presentation, so just we're amazed by all that PTOs do for our schools. You do make a difference, and I think the students are better for it, and the students feel, you know, I think are appreciated, and I think teachers appreciate it, so thank you. And also, I'd love to know the date of the planetarium.
Yeah.
Show up. That's right up my alley.
Yeah.
Mary, you can send me the date.
I will. And he's not talking about the inflatable.
No. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ms. Mahoney, do you want to do principal presentation?
Yes.
Principal report?
Principal reports.
Principal report.
All right, so we have a general update for all 4 elementary schools, and then we have just some school-specific ones. So at all 4 elementary schools, we're getting ready for the upcoming ELA MCAS testing for students in grades 3 through 5. Huge shout out to Kathy Carmignani for her incredible support in organizing the logistics and training faculty and staff. In addition to testing preparations, our elementary teams are also looking ahead to next year. We've begun working with district administrators to thoughtfully build our master schedules for 25-26 school year. And as part of our preparations for the transition to middle school for our current 5th graders, Principal Carb and Assistant Principal Bean recently hosted an informative session for our 5th grade parents and caregivers. We're grateful to them for helping our families feel supported and get ready for this next exciting chapter. And our teachers have also been busy completing the SABRS SEL Universal Screener for our students. We're looking forward to using this valuable data to help inform classroom placements and strengthen our Tier 2 supports to meet students' social emotional needs. Another thank you to Kathy Carmignani for supporting our schools in taking this data. At Lincoln Street School, during the last week of March, our PE teacher and school nurse partnered with the American Heart Association to participate in Kids Heart Challenge. Students developed and enhanced their jump roping skills while raising over $1,200 for the American Heart Association. This was a wonderful opportunity to kick off Wellness Week in the school. And April brings new opportunities to test students' academic growth, social skills, and hidden talents. Our 4th grade drama group will perform skits for their classmates on April 11th. Our 2nd annual scooter hockey event will happen during an assembly on April 17th, and the Lincoln Street School Art Show will close out the month on April 30th. At Peasley, we continue to focus on wellness throughout this week, utilizing the SEL Week and Wellness Week Choice Board, created by our SEL leaders, Hallie Buchanan and Tara Slattery, and using the SEL book collection organized by our school librarian, Claire Kelsey. We look forward to upcoming events, including a few PTO-sponsored enrichments. K students will visit the Hanover Theater to see Teeth the Cat on Friday, April 3rd. 3rd graders will experience a visit from Channel 5 meteorologist on April 15th. All students are having a blast participating in the March Mathmas ST Math Championship led by Ariella Greenspan. where competing students to see which class can solve the most GG puzzles. Students will be celebrated with a dance party because of their hard work during our readathon, having read over 30,000 minutes. And the author Allison Hall will visit with our K2 students, and we will have our sports and hobby spirit day and food drive on April 17th. Lastly, at Peasley, fourth graders will also share the hard work in their ensemble class when they perform a play they've been working on with our music teacher, Katrina Whalen, on this day. All right, shifting to Proctor. At Proctor, our Penguins are welcoming spring with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. Last week, our fourth graders led a school-wide Spring into Mindfulness huddle, and we're also gearing up for this Saturday's PTO Spring Fair and online raffle event and participating in the Kids Heart Challenge, similar to Lincoln Street School, to promote wellness. Adding to the fun, our staff surprised students last week with an underground spirit week, where students had to guess the mystery theme each day. Lastly, Mrs. Iannacone is piloting a before school during morning recess ST math group, where we have identified students using the data to be able to support students with additional time and support during their math. So far, this is going well, and we look forward to growing the opportunity. So overall, it's been a fun way to kick off spring at Proctor. At Z School, Z students have been engaged in several exciting hands-on learning experiences over the last few weeks. As a culminating activity for their American West module in Wit and Wisdom ELA core, our second graders took part in Pioneer Day, where they played games, created crafts, and explored what life was like during that period. This week, fifth graders dissected owl pellets as part of their science studies on ecosystems and food chains, marveling at the fascinating discoveries inside. Meanwhile, during PE classes, students have been participating in Project Adventure, pushing past their fears and discovering what they can achieve as they climb. It's been incredible to watch their growth over the past few weeks. At Milliken, thank you to Kate Getchell, music director, and our assistant directors and instrumental music directors for supporting our nearly 90 students over the past 3 months as they prepared for their performances of Disney's The Descendants, which took place on Friday and Saturday at Algonquin. We sold over 1,250 tickets to the show. Today, Principal Carr received this email from a community member. Quote, "I just want to send a note to say that my husband and I went to the play on Friday night and we felt it was fantastic. All involved did a great job. We did not have anyone in the play, so our review is not biased. We are senior citizens, but we feel that the Northborough schools are excellent and we continue to support them. Thank you for all you do for our young people." End quote. Thank you to Algonquin for the use of their auditorium, and to Scott Arnold and Eric Vincent for helping in the pit. Thank you also to the families who supported this enormous effort with costumes, sets, props, makeup, the concession stands, ticket scanning, and the cast party. This was truly a collaborative effort, and the show was wonderful. Our unified basketball season concluded last week. All of our students grew immensely over the course of the season. Thank you to our coaches. All 6th, 7th, and 8th graders participated in session 1 of the ELA MCAS today with small groups, individual, and small section testing. We had 66 testing locations and proctors. Thank you to our cafeteria staff for combining 6th and 7th grade lunches. Tomorrow, all students will participate in session 2 of the ELA MCAS with math, science, technology, and engineering, and civics MCAS taking place in May. We're almost there. All right, spring sports began yesterday. Approximately 20 student athletes signed up for softball and 20 for baseball, and over 80 student athletes signed up for track. We're thankful for our coaches and for the parent volunteers who are assisting with track this season. On April 10th, our PTO is holding an 8th grade fun night at Roller Kingdom from 6 to 8 p.m. Students are excited about this social event. And that's it.
Sure. Thank you so much. Things about Milliken, the lunch MCAS, that reminded me, yes, I did hear about that today. My children got to sit there. I have a 6th and 7th grader, and they got to sit together, because usually 6th grade is separate, but 7th grade, 8th grade thing. So I think they liked seeing each other, but they didn't like the crowd. It's very crowded to have all the lunches together. I don't know if you've heard anything like that. You haven't, yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, yeah, the street lights are on, yeah, right? But another thing that Melican did do, was they did a halfway through middle school last week, or the week before. And they basically, for the 7th graders, it's their halfway time at Melican. So they've, done the 6th grade halfway, so it's like halfway to go, and they had a blast, the kids had a blast doing it and stuff like that, and they had activities at lunch and stuff like that, but I guess they used to do it years ago, and they hadn't done it in a while, and then, so they brought it back. And,
Great.
yeah, so that was another thing. So. I know when you guys write your reports, it's like, you're writing like about what's like now, you forget like all the fun things that happened like earlier in the month and stuff, so, but those are good things that I did here also from them, but thank you so much, good luck with your fair this weekend.
We're excited. No inflatables though.
Inflatables.
Just for the record, the weather looks nice too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. As always, you're welcome to stay, but we completely understand if you want to sneak out at any point. So no pressure on staying. Moving along on our agenda, we've got our mathematics update by Kathy Lazat and Dr. Stephanie Reinhorn.
You are the first person who pronounces my name correctly. That's
Thank
you for that.
It's as if I might have heard your name once or twice before.
Yes, because math,
Positive, all positive.
I know I'm following the inflatable whale, but it is math, so it's something to be very excited about.
Yeah. I know, I've heard your name, but I don't think we've ever met.
I know.
So welcome.
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm excited to give the update for math. So, yeah, so we just want to begin. We'll start with our math vision for instruction. This is just kind of what grounds our work. We really are looking to make sure we're providing for students a comprehensive and coherent, engaging learning experience. We want to make sure that they have a deep understanding of mathematical concepts, where we're creating environments where they feel included and safe to, share their voice in their thinking around mathematics. We want them to be, deep critical thinkers and be ready for whatever pursuits they have in life. So this is kind of what grounds our work when we think about elementary math. And so we are in phase 3 of our curriculum instruction review, which is the launch phase. So we had decided last spring to adopt a new curriculum, Eureka Math Squared. And we're doing our implementation in 2 phases. So this year we are in phase 1, which we call our early adoption phase. And we'll follow up next year with our full implementation and continue to monitor how our implementation goes. So just a quick, so what does it mean to be in this launch phase? We have 23 classrooms across the district who are using Eureka Math Squared as the curriculum. So that includes 14 classrooms, specifically in Northborough. We have all grades from K to 5 that are represented with a group of teachers. For Northborough, it's every grade level except for grade 3. And we have at least 1 team per building who are using the curriculum. And our goal with this was really to, what could we learn from, it's a big shift when you change curriculums, and we just recently, shifted ELA a couple of years ago. So we wanted to just kind of do a slower rollout for teachers to get a feel. And so by having this first round of implementation, we are able to see, what works really smoothly, and then what are some areas that maybe when we roll it out with all of our classrooms that we can work on. So it's been tremendous. We've learned a lot from the teachers that are doing it now. They have a lot of insight for the next round of teachers, and we're really looking forward to providing them with a lot more information as they enter into this. So what we've been able to provide for our next round of teachers is we've given them a full PD with Great Minds, which is the company that makes Eureka Squared. And they've had a half day with TNTP, which is a consulting group we use that we consult with the Department of Education. So they've been able to experience some professional development, and they also have this opportunity where they can connect with people who are already doing it. So we're encouraging teachers to maybe pop into those classrooms where they're seeing it now that they have a greater understanding of what the program is, And then we'll use our early adopters come next fall to help us launch some additional professional development for them.
Does
Yeah.
does that mean the grades does that mean that some schools, if you're in first grade, you might not be doing the same thing as the other class in first grade?
No, so the teams are doing it. So the example would be at Proctor, our kindergarten entire team is doing it, and our 5th grade team at Proctor is doing it.
Okay.
Lincoln Street is our 1st and 2nd grade teams.
Okay.
But so the entire grade
The
level
grade
will
is
get
doing
it. Yes,
but not,
correct.
not all of those grades at one school.
Correct, yes, you got it, yep. And so, just kind of what has the experience been for our students? I was able to gather some feedback from some of our 5th grade students, and we focused on the left-hand side. You'll see what our priorities were when we were selecting a new program. We really wanted it to be, student-led and child-centered. We wanted limited reliance on, wordy problems that our current program, though it's a very good program, it was one of the areas where we were looking to improve on. And if you look at some of the quotes that our students gave, this one's my favorite. I like how simple and straightforward the questions are. Our old program was really twisty and confusing. So if you look, the students are recognizing things that we were looking for. We were looking for it to be more hands-on. We really want to make sure when we're teaching mathematics, we're going through these really critical phases of concrete, representational, abstract, and you'll see students are recognizing that. It's more, their words are, it's more hands-on. I feel more confident using it. We looked for a variety of assessments, and we had a student comment on, I like the exit tickets because I know it refreshes what I've learned that day. And connecting to previous learning, and you see that right in their own statements. So we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, not just from the teachers, but from some of our students as well. And then we continue to do ST Math. So our focus this year has really been driving deeper into data and how to use that data to support all of our students. So some of our professional development has been around what tools can we provide students to help them work more independently. Puzzle talks are kind of a way to engage the whole class in using one of the ST Math puzzles. And again, it helps our teachers model what our thinking might be as we're approaching areas that we might get stuck in a puzzle. And then, as mentioned in some of the PTO updates about the peer mentoring. So we have these little pockets where older students are maybe helping some of the younger students kind of work through some of the puzzles there that they might be getting stuck on. So we've been having a lot of success with that as well. And to go back, my favorite is the little student in the corner. It's hard to see, but he says, Steph, can you read that? Do you see what it says?
My future is bright because I like ST Math.
I mean, he feels it. So again, from the words of the babes.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep us going with sort of connecting what is going on in the elementary schools and thinking about what's going on in the middle school. Some of these slides you have seen before when Kathy and I provided an update a year ago. One of the things we talked about with both elementary and middle school was our focus on fostering effective math teaching practices, and that our selection of curriculum resources, this was a central tenet. And the circled in the middle there, the building procedural fluency from conceptual understanding, that was often the cornerstone, particularly the procedural fluency in the past. And it's still important. It is still part of our practice, but there is now much more emphasis, both in what Kathy was talking about at the elementary level and in the middle school, on the reasoning and problem solving, the mathematical discourse, productive struggle, surfacing student thinking, and having students being able to defend their thinking. So the other thing that we talked about I think it was last year or the year before, was that in doing this, there's a real shift in the structure of lessons. And what probably many of us experienced as we went through school was a really traditional format where the teacher models a procedure, which is often referred to as the I do. The students, together with the teacher, get to try some similar problems to what was modeled, the we do. And then the you do, students work very similar problems independently. And this cycle sort of repeats in a traditional math class. And what we're moving to in both the elementary and middle school is a more contemporary lesson format where students are working together to solve problems, and students and teachers are discussing the strategies, but not necessarily up front. It's not, necessarily, okay, here's what we're about to do, now you go try it. It's let's dive into some problems. Now let's talk about what you're noticing, what the reasoning is, and surfacing that, and the teacher helping to facilitate that conversation and make the mathematical connections. So at the middle school level, we're squarely in that implementation phase. We're in our second year of the Carnegie Learning math program. We did a full implementation in the first year, so everybody's in the second year. And we're really supporting that implementation, providing ongoing professional development to both teachers and leadership, and refining the work that we're doing. We think of implementation as a 5-year process. It really takes time, particularly when we're trying to make a shift in the approach, which is what I was just explaining. So some of the supports that continue to be in place are that we have an excellent partnership with Carnegie Learning. We have a coach, Carrie, who works with the teachers and has one more visit coming up, and she spends a full day at Melican, combination of observing and giving feedback, sometimes co-teaching or modeling a lesson, and sometimes planning sessions with teachers. So this is, I believe, this will be, I think, her 5th visit this year, so we've been working with her throughout the year. In addition, we have a leadership coach, Jack, who has been working with us since when we first started looking at the materials, and has continued to support us throughout the implementation project. And he visits multiple times a year and meets with me, Principal Carb, Assistant Principal Bean. We visit classes. Sometimes Greg is able to join us. We observe, we debrief, and we're really calibrating our understanding of this shift in instructional practice and the types of feedback we can give to teachers and how we can best support the process. We also have partnership meetings with Carnegie where we look at data and sort of understand set goals and then understand where we are relative to the goals. And we have math curriculum leader meetings, which is our middle school curriculum leader, Chrissy Lincoln, who's one of the teachers at Melican. Kathy Lazat represents the elementary, and then her Chrissy's counterpart from Trottier, and our high school department head. And we meet monthly, and that is another support system for this process. And just as a reminder, as we work through all of the things I was just sharing, we're focusing on both what Carnegie refers to as the textbook lessons, which is really those rich tasks where students are discussing the mathematics and working together with peers. And then they also have the Mathia online software, which is adaptive software where it's the more individualized learning, although they do often collaborate as they do it, but they can move at their own pace, and the software adapts depending on how they're doing. So those two components are at play, and our coaches and support systems are all focusing on both. And we are happy to answer questions.
Great. I'm wondering if Mathia is part of Carnegie, or is that a separate division?
Great question. It is part of Carnegie. And Carnegie refers to their program as a blended learning program that has the textbook, which is paper and pencil, and the Mathia program. Those are both coming from Carnegie.
I heard Joan.
Thank you, Kelly. I have 5 questions.
You can only do 2.
The first one I have is that you talked about the teachers, the faculty that are being the first level of the implementation. Will these teachers also be mentors as you expand it to the other grade levels?
Yes, that's our goal. Yep. So they will be able to hopefully provide some professional development for their grade level peers, as well as be a support person within their school as the rest of the team, as the rest of the teams in their school implement this next year.
Okay. Could you explain a little bit if there is any remediation or extra support that is within this program for the different levels of students that we have?
So I think the best way to think about some of the research that has come out is really reflecting on the supports you use for remediation really should be within the same program. So to have something separate and different. So with Eureka Math, they build in, within each lesson, they offer very specific targeted supports that teachers can implement. And it's a variety of things. It could be language supports. We're really emphasizing, UDL. So when we're planning a lesson, how do we teach to the margins? Thinking of that when we go into a lesson. So they don't provide something that is sub-separate for the program, but it's all built in within the tier 1 instruction. There's multiple levels of support that they provide for teachers in order to provide for those students. Is that clear?
Yeah, and I'll just add one more, Joan, let me just add one more thing to that, which is that in Northborough, we do also designate a portion of our Title I funding for math intervention services. And we focus on the early grades the last couple of years on kindergarten, first grade, and some second grade, and have increased our commitment to that by matching some operational money as well, so that what used to be only a Title I program is now in our operational budget and supplemented by Title I. And so we have a person split between Lincoln Street and Peasley, and then we have an interventionist split between Proctor and Z. And so that's another source to accelerate learning for a group of students.
And those teachers have also been trained in Eureka Math, so they can make those connections with kids too.
Okay, so if there is a student has difficulty in mastering any of the lessons, they can be reformatted and given one-on-one support if needed, or in a small group. Is that what you're saying? Through the Title I?
Yes, it's typically in a small group.
Okay. I have a question. Okay, first comment. I love the exit ticket that a student wrote on your screen. Taking some college courses, I know you're ready to leave, and they go, how about writing an exit ticket? And you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to think about this. And I really love the exit ticket that the student wrote on it. He says, because you get a refresh on what you learned. So it's making them think about what they did in class, not that it's just separated, but how could they apply it, or it gives a refresh. So that was a great comment to add. As far as, I had a question here about the materials, but Stephanie, you mentioned about the textbooks. So I was just wondering, when we purchase this program, besides, so it's textbooks, do we have some consumables that they have? Is it manipulation and software? And is there any software that students could have an account that they could go on at home? Maybe it would be the Title I students to refresh what they learned at school, or is there any type of remediation with a software to assist those students?
So this might be two separate answers. Are you referring specifically to elementary or middle, or did you want to hear for both?
Both, if I can.
Sure. So with the elementary, teachers obviously we have purchased the teacher editions for the teachers, and they will each get a manipulative kit. So the manipulatives that you are seeing in some of these pictures are things that they will be using in the classroom. So each classroom will have their own kit for manipulatives. And then students receive 2 workbooks, except kindergarten just has 1. The 2 workbooks are a Learn workbook, so that's a workbook that they're using typically in class, where they might, any activities that they're doing, there's recording sheets in there, and then there's what they call problem sets, so that's where students have the opportunity to practice. And then they have a second book called Apply, and in the Apply book, that has, one of the things we really liked about Eureka was they have a worked example, and so it's like, it almost looks like a little cartoon, and the which kind of refreshes what the student learned in math that day by this little cartoon character kind of giving a worked example. So when students go to do their homework or the practice problems that are there, they have something. So parents will have something that they can look at as they're doing that work, or, you know, even if a student is doing it independently and maybe just needs a refresher, they have that opportunity to look back at that. As far as going online with this program, typically the only online portion is upper grades, like 3rd, 4th, and 5th, will take assessments online. They actually take it on paper first, and then they enter in their information online so we can get some data back that the teachers can look at. But in terms of elementary, ST Math is the separate digital component that we have, in which that is also used for when teachers need to reinforce concepts. They can still reinforce the same concepts on ST Math, so they can align whatever a student might need to work on, they can align ST Math with that as well. So we use a different, separate digital component.
Okay, thank you.
And the middle school answer is that what Carnegie refers to as a textbook probably would feel more like a workbook to you, but it serves as both a textbook and a workbook. It has similar language. It has worked examples, sometimes incorrect worked examples, and the kids have to figure out what went wrong. But then it also has space where they do work. They don't typically carry the whole thing around. They often tear out the pages to the topic that they're working on because it's kind of big.
Yeah,
so they leave most of it at school. They also have online access to the same resources and to additional resources. And then Mathia is the online adaptive software that goes with it. So there are online components and paper components.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification on textbooks, because when I heard textbooks, I said, are we back to the old ones where the kids would have to write the problems from the book and then solve it?
No, this would not look familiar. Yeah.
And the last question I have is, how are you sharing this with parents, and especially, Kathy, you talked about the assessments. So how has this new program been shared with the parents? Since parents do talk, and they may have a first grader, there's twins, let's say, one's getting the new program, the other one is in the first grade and still not into the older system. So how do you share this, and the data that you get, is that shared with parents?
So we initially each teacher shared with their own classroom. We had a letter communicating that they were an early adopter and what that meant. So the schools and the principals kind of sent out the first initial communication with parents. A couple of the schools have reached out, and so I've been able to go to their PTOs, or in Southborough we call it the parent coffees, principal coffees. So we've been able to kind of do some parent-led information sessions that way as well. Next year, we are hoping we will have obviously a lot more information at curriculum night for families, and we are hoping to do a lot more parent workshops. I feel like I don't want to jinx anything by saying anything out loud, but I want to say, like, thank you for the support of the math specialists that may be coming, keeping my fingers crossed for that. Just being able to have some more hands on deck, we can offer a lot more to work with parents, because it is a shift in the math experience that I'm saying it collectively, because I think in almost all conversations that I've had with people, we have that typical traditional style teaching, and with this shift, it's really we're all learning, all of us, teachers, students, and parents alike. So we definitely hope to have more workshops and things available for next year.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. And Kathy, if you could, through Stephanie, so that she could let us know, school committee members, when you have a parent night, I'd love to attend one of those to, hear more about the program and to hear the reactions from parents. I think it's a great step. I see, all the updates even from the students, and their comments were wonderful. So thank you for the time and answering my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thanks, Joan. I did just have a couple things, not 5. Well, it might be 5, but why no 3rd grade in Northborough?
It was more just, we had a curriculum council that we put together, which really the start of it was our math curriculum leaders. So that's one representative from every school. And then we expanded to make sure we had representation from ELD teachers and special ed teachers. It really started with whoever was on that curriculum council. We kind of offered to say, would you be willing to be our first adopter? Because they were the ones that piloted it. So they had to check in with a teammate to make sure that their teammate would be willing to do it. Once we got that, we looked to make sure that every grade level was represented. So that's why we have at Lincoln Street, for example, we needed to have on our team, we had a teacher who was a second grade teacher last year and moved to fourth grade. So we needed a second grade representation. So the only reason third is not in Northborough is because the third grade teacher on the team was a self-birth teacher.
Okay.
And then we had multiple fifth grade teachers, so that's why we were able to get multiple ones. But it was something as simple as who was represented.
It was just
on our
interesting
team.
because it's
Yeah.
literally every other grade, third grade.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Parent help for middle school stuff. Kids have access to the stuff. They don't tell parents they have access to the stuff at home. It's at school, Mom. I can't, it's at school. There's no hope. Is there a way that, I can't do it. It's done. It's done. It's like over. It doesn't matter. I'll do it. I'll just fail. Okay. Well, let's try to figure out. And you try to Google stuff and you can't find anything. So is there a way that, parents can know more about it? Like, I thought somebody once showed me like, oh, it's on the website, you can just go, but I'm like, I tried it one time, I was like, I have no idea. Things are so buried and you don't know. So if there could be more, even if it's the math teachers telling the parents in the beginning of the year something so that they could support their kids at home if the kid, needs it or.
Yes, absolutely. Both resources include materials that we can share with parents, and also I know that the Melican teachers have discovered everything from videos that give an overview of the topic or the module to worked examples and things like that. And I think I will work with them, and we can certainly push that forward so the parents are more aware. Of the support system.
And then my last question is just about fifth graders going for math placement. What is the math placement test that they take? Because I know there's two different maths. There's grade level math and then there's advanced math for once you get to the middle school. And the fifth graders take their placement test. Has the placement test changed at all, or will it change with this new thing? And how is it, because not all, for example, fifth graders in Northborough, only fifth graders at one school have this newer math than the other one. So how is that going to be in regards to with their placement?
No, that's a great question. So we actually did make an adjustment to the placement test this year, and we used Carnegie materials. So it was an even playing field. So Carnegie has these ready assessments, they're called, for each module, and basically it's fifth grade standards, and we created the test from those. So as if a teacher was about to teach their sixth grade module, there would have been a readiness assessment that would go to say, oh, what do students in this module need to know from fifth grade? And we used all of them. So we took all 6 or whatever modules they had, and we created the placement test from there. So it looks more, that way it's written by Carnegie, not by either one of our two programs.
Okay.
Yep.
And just to be clear, have they done it yet?
Yes, they have done it.
Yes. I'm just curious how if the ones who had the new math in fifth grade, if they placed any differently that they would have maybe they placed.
I mean, I think there are a couple of things to remember. One is that we use that placement assessment as one more data point. And the feedback we've gotten from the teachers so far, this is one of the things our curriculum leaders, when I mentioned how Kathy and the middle school leaders and the high school, that's something we work on together across the system. They have told us that the new assessment this year was affirming of all the other data points they had. It did not, there weren't big shocks, there weren't big, surprises, and that it aligned. And in some cases was just like, okay, yeah, this is, consistent with what I thought. It also gives us system data about, are there certain areas, to focus on. So, but I think it's important to remember that it's just one data point. And Envision, which is our previous program, is a high-quality resource. Like, we could have stayed with Envision, and both Envision and Eureka Squared are aligned to the same standards. So they are, think of it as different roads to the same destination. So theoretically, our kids should do well on this readiness check written by Carnegie for the same reasons they should do well on MCAS with either program, because they're both standards aligned and they're just different paths to the same place.
No other questions? Thank you so much for your presentation tonight.
Wonderful, appreciate it.
And
Thank you.
I just want to say that, Kathy, this is a huge undertaking, and these phases of implementation, the selection process, and Kathy has just been a fearless leader and fantastic in her collaboration with principals and with all of the curriculum leaders, and so we're really lucky to have her leading this work.
Well, working with everyone else, they make it easy for me, so thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Kathy.
So much.
She's out. Flip the tag.
Moving on to our agenda, we have legislative updates.
So just one quick note, the governor did sign the bill to extend remote meetings through June 30th, 2027. So that was good news, and I know that we were waiting for that to be signed, so that is in effect. And also just a note on kind of the legislative advocacy as the governor's budget moves through the process with the House Ways and Means and the Senate. There continues to be a tremendous amount of advocacy from MASC and MASS in terms of just supporting education, making sure that state aid to education is funded, circuit breaker, regional transportation reimbursement. And also they have been advocating at the federal level too, and speaking to the importance of federal funding, whether it's Title I funding, Title II, Title III, Title IV, IDA, that it's really critical for schools across the country to receive that funding.
Kristen, I think this is kind of like legislative type thing. No, wouldn't it be? Kristen received an email from Glenn, was it? From the NASC?
It was, Massachusetts Education Advocacy Group. It was from Glenn, yeah. Oh, you're right, yeah. The one that has the advocacy group logo is from Glenn from his NASC.
Yeah, and do you want me to do it? Or?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so it was, of course, it was, basically about reevaluating the funding formula, I think, isn't it? I don't did they want us to be part of it, or?
Yes.
So I don't know how, would that be like an individual basis for us, or do we want to have a representation from us, or how should?
If you can forward the email to me, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I can forward they were basically asking districts to send in, well, it was addressed to committee members, so that was another thing. It wasn't addressed to.
Yep.
I know, and I didn't get it.
So there is a push to reevaluate the funding formula, the Chapter 70 funding formula.
Yeah, that's what it was for.
I know that it was one of the resolutions of MASC, and I think this has been in the works for a few years. So I think districts are really pushing, re-looking at the formula, given the difficult financial times many districts are in. So it is getting some momentum. So I think any participation and any opportunity to influence that work, I think is important.
Great. So that just came in, so I figured this was kind of legislatively type topic to talk about. All right, great. So moving on, approval of grants and donations. We have donations, in-kind donations, for the Northborough, the NSborough Reads. This was from their Read Night, right?
Yeah, they're in Northborough Reads Night, and just another example of the PTOs generously donating, their time and funding to support these types of events. So you'll see that not only did all of the Northborough PTOs participate but also the APTO at Algonquin Regional High School and the SOS in Southborough. So it's another unifying event to support a great cause, and the librarians did an amazing job, and we're very appreciative of all the support they received.
So, somebody wants to make a motion to approve the monetary donations of the amount of $1,300 in in-kind donations for the Northborough Reads.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bryce, seconded by Kristen. Roll call. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Joan?
Yes,
Kristen?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. It feels weird to just do 4 people. So it passed unanimously. Thank you so much to all of the PTOs and SOSs that contributed to help make that event another success. So we appreciate it. And to all the librarians and the volunteers who worked it to make it such a great success. So we appreciate it. It's a very long list of people who helped out with that, so. Old business, we have our school choice vote. We had our presentation last week. We had the public hearing that we waived any additional information at tonight. So we have to vote if we want to withdraw from it. Is there specific
So I can
verbiage?
read a motion and
Yeah, I
someone.
was gonna
And
say,
then
the
someone
motion
could,
is,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I have the motion in front of me.
So by law, all school districts in the Commonwealth are presumed to participate in school choice unless the school committee votes to withdraw following a public hearing and prior to June 1st. The reasons for withdrawing from school choice are the reimbursement rate of $5,000 per pupil for school choice versus the actual cost of a student expenditure, which is $20,125.72. And also our class size is basically at capacity in Northborough. And for those reasons, make a motion to withdraw from school choice for the 25-26 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got motion by Bryce, seconded by Kristen. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Joan?
yes,
Kristen?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Northborough will withdraw from school choice for the academic year of 25-26. All right, update on Peasley Building Project?
Sure, so the next Peasley building meeting is April 8th, which is next week on Tuesday. The time is still being determined. Becky has been working on the request for services for an owner's project manager. That is the next big milestone for the Peasley Building Committee. So at the 8th, I believe the goal is to kind of review the draft document that Becky has drafted, get organized, and start that process. So that is an important meeting, and I just want to thank Becky for being ahead of the game. Is there anything I missed?
Yeah, the next thing is that it's due 17th, April 17th.
April
so
17th.
It's a little bit of a
Yep.
turnaround.
And the good news is since we went through the process in Southborough, a lot of the work that we've done is very familiar. So it makes it a little bit, just a little bit
Yeah.
easier. Still a lot of work.
The roof, Z roof.
Yes,
We have an approval for a motion for the town.
Are we
no.
approving, are we voting to approve the?
Well, that's, wait, the
the
approval,
article?
that's later on the agenda, I think. Right, or is this the same?
that's the same.
It's the same, yeah. So we need to vote on this verbiage. Right?
Yeah, so just the MSBA requires specific language around the motion that needs to be made at the town meeting. So I think at the last meeting you did vote the article, And this is actually the motion, so, I think it's more of a symbolic vote. This has been approved by the MSBA and has been given to the town administrator.
This is their language for us to use for the motion at the town meeting.
Correct.
And so we are submitting a motion to vote to either affirm the language or not. Okay. I move to accept the language for the motion for the elementary roof replacement feasibility and schematic design.
Should we read it into record?
I don't think you have
We
to,
don't have to- Okay.
but
We'll
you're
read
more
it
than,
into record at the town hall.
It will be at the
Yeah.
time, yeah.
you can.
I'm fine with reading the reading.
I was gonna just do the headliner there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's fine. I just didn't know legally, like, because I know sometimes they're like, nope, you need to read it. Oh, you know, so just want to make sure of that.
Should I do it again?
No, you had a motion.
Yeah.
Motion by Bryce, seconded by Kristen to approve the verbiage as stated in the packet. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Joan?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes.
And myself as a yes, passes unanimously. Enrollments.
So in your
Well, that was the right, we didn't have two votes, right? We just had the one vote, right? Okay.
So in your packets, the enrollment report as of March 17th, 2025, and we are trending as projected, and we're keeping a close eye on kindergarten, but I think our numbers for the number of sections is accurate so far. Keith and Sheila are monitoring the waiting lists very closely, specifically around kindergarten, so each month for the next several months will be really important in terms of the number of sections in K.
How do they develop the numbers, like there's the actual numbers and then there's the projected numbers?
For kindergarten,
Yes.
or, so those are actually the known number of students who've actually enrolled in each school. So those are known numbers. So these are actuals.
I think it's by probably the census, town census is how you get,
Well, we start with,
like, beforehand, right?
yeah, beforehand, we just took an average number of enrollment over the past 3 years for kindergarten.
Okay.
And then determine the number of sections, number of teachers we needed, and then now we're just monitoring to make sure that we don't need to add a section.
Okay, so the projections are kind of based on, yeah, what I understood then.
So we do have open seats, which is good news. And I think the next, typically the next month, registration slows to a trickle. And then summer, that's when we have another unknown. Yeah. And then Becky will go over the FY25 budget line item transfer report and the monthly general fund expenditure reports.
Well, I'm happy to report that since last month's meeting, we have had no new function codes that have been overexpended, so nothing needs to be voted there. In terms of the FY25 monthly general fund report, though, so this report actually is for the first 3 quarters of fiscal year 2025, so we are entering in the final phase of the operational budget. At this point in time, we do have $402,123 remaining on the bottom line, which represents 1.38% of the operational budget. Really, things continue to hold steady in Northborough. That is only a decrease of about $25,000 from the February 28th report. The 2 areas that are really our key drivers in the operational budget are the substitute long-term line item, and you can see that is overexpended by $283,000. And then our transportation special education, and we've been talking about that this year, where we do have funds set aside based on this new contract, and so that is overexpended by $443,000. A couple of other lines, though, that I just wanted to point out to you is that we are watching our heating line item. We are seeing an increase in invoices, and that's due to the natural gas. I'm sure you've all seen it on the news, that the supply costs are coming in higher. So that's something that we really are watching right now. However, we have modified our projections based off of the invoices that we received, so we feel good about the numbers that are included in the budget. And then also our health services, special education. We have had to contract with an outside agency for OT and SLP services due to staff absences again. So really, the staff absences are a couple of key contributors. We've had more than usual this year, and so that's really, I think, one of the drivers of this budget.
It's the type of thing that's like you can't really anticipate it.
Yeah,
You know,
and
it's not like, you know.
But also, I think that the finance department did an excellent job creating a line item for leaves. So before it was in the general salary fund, so you never could really call out what it was. So this way we can actually see what, whether it's medical leaves or is costing us, which will give us, I think, better data as we move forward.
I know the budgets are frozen, as you're saying, and I had a friend of mine was a teacher at high school, and she's like, yeah, so now we're frozen, so even though we have the money and everything, we can't use it. I was like, well, that's not true. I said, I think you're not getting the right information to you. I said, so basically, yeah, if you are out of blue markers and you want to get a whole new pack of markers because you don't have your blue, then yeah, you're not going to be able to get your markers. But I said, if all your markers are dead and you've got money in your budget, then yes, you just have to go through the Becky to get your markers. You can still get your markers, okay?
But you gotta go through Becky.
But you gotta go through Becky to get your markers, okay? So, they better all be dead, I don't want just, the blue by now. So.
I have lots of conversations with principals, so
But-
if there are things that are needed, not markers,
Exactly.
but.
Like,
Sure.
yeah, and that's what I was trying to explain, and they're like, yeah, but it was in our budget and we just didn't spend it yet. I was like, and it's still there, it's just, you have to be.
Exactly. As we approach the end of the year, when we freeze, we typically freeze it anyway.
Everything.
After April vacation,
Yeah.
we just did it a little earlier. It makes it easier for the closeout, and again, if there are things that are needed, I am talking to people and I am approving.
Yeah. Spend your money. Okay, so, our motion to approve the FY '25 monthly general fund expenditure report until audited as of February 28th, 2025. March, I know, is that a typo there? Yeah, it says February 28th.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So March. And that's the only thing we have to vote, right? Because there's no line transfer.
Correct.
To vote, so. Somebody wants to make a motion for
You got it? It's so moved. Second.
that. Moved by Kristen, seconded by Bryce. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Joan?
Yes,
Kristen?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes.
And myself as a yes, passes unanimously. Thank you, and to you and your team for all the hard work. Appreciate it. Members reports, school committee members reports. Anything, Kristen?
Yeah, the wellness committee had met, the policy subcommittee hasn't met since our last meeting, neither has the facility subcommittee, but the wellness committee has a meeting, and they have wellness week this week.
Yeah. Tonight they had something, I think, at the library too.
They have stuff every night this week, actually, they have flyers and passing around, so yeah, tonight, Wednesday, yeah, wellness fair. They have the Youth Nature Club, so tomorrow they have burgers, so they have stuff all week. And then they have a little circle, and everyone wants to try and do all the things that potentially in a bike example. Yeah. So that's all around town, Northborough and Southborough, but they're also working on a lot of different initiatives. It was an Excel sheet, it was huge, with lots of tabs. So very Mary Ellen is fantastic, she's very ambitious on this, so, but there are a lot of great conversations at the meetings about, what they can do to help support wellness in the different schools and working with the health department in Northborough and Southborough, and reaching out to the community as well. But it is Wellness Week, so I mean, this is definitely something for us to have.
Joan?
Yes, I have one school committee report, and that is from the Northborough Ed Foundation. The spring silent auction is open right now, and today's featured items consist of a Northborough youth basketball requisition, not the travel team. There is a silent auction for Northborough youth soccer registration, and a Northborough Southborough youth football new player tackle football registration plus 2 sweatshirts, and also the Northborough Southborough youth lacrosse boys registration and t-shirt. So that is open in the silent auction. You can get that on the website. Also, registration is still open for the team trivia night, which is this Friday, April the 4th, 2025 at Cyprian Key Golf Club. And doors open at 7. First question is at 7:30. You can register your team of 2 to 4 players. And spectators are welcome with a $10 suggested donation at the door. And if anybody in the public wants to create a team of 2 to 4 players, they can go on to the website for the NEF to get their registration form. Thank you.
Thanks, Joan. We did register for a school committee team, so.
I was kind of voluntold.
Yeah, you were.
I volunteered.
Totally my bad. Totally my bad on that one. I maybe it was because last year we went.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. We had a great time.
And it was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
So much.
You're like,
fun.
oh, Bryce.
I was like,
is gonna
oh
do
yeah,
that."
so it's definitely Bryce wants to do this again.
Our team name is Robert's Rules.
Robert's rules. Okay. Fair enough.
I love it. I love it.
Mike's team is fighting viruses again, so you're like, well, Patty and Miami.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, so that's for him. So, did she ding again?
I think she dinged.
Yes, Joan.
Double ding.
Double ding.
I didn't know if it was her the first time. I just wanted to know who are the team members? Do you have a team name? And are you going with team outfits?
Well, now I guess we need to
Sure,
coordinate
definitely
that.
not. Nope. I'll be home from work.
We
Or
registered.
Robert's rules.
We registered Superintendent Martineau, myself, Kristen, and Bryce. We're the 4 that we registered.
You guys are going to be winners, of course, like usual. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, the only reason we didn't 2 years ago is because we all just got tired.
We left early.
We have to leave early. We have to leave early.
I think that's our escape plan.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is like my one night out, I'm not leaving.
Oh, yeah.
That's
no,
all right.
no, no, stay the whole night.
You can hold that team down. You can hold us
Like,
down.
I got a babysitter, I gotta stay until the end.
Yeah.
Bunch of us got to like 9 o'clock and we're like,
Yeah.
wait, are you done?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it was tough because we were so close to winning, you
Yes.
know, and by us leaving, like, it just,
We left that big prize on the
Well,
table.
We made choices.
we had to. All right, so my school committee member reports, NSPAC, our the administration meeting is rescheduled for tomorrow. Unfortunately, I can't make it on a Thursday. But they have next Tuesday, April 8th at 7 to 8 p.m., Southborough Youth and Family Services Community Focus Group. So they have that as a virtual event. You can register on their webpage for that. On April 10th, their general meeting with special guests from the Northborough and Southborough Chiefs of Police will be there, and that's going to be at the Marlborough Library. But that's going to be there. You can register online for that, and that's going to be on Thursday, April 10th from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Going the Distance Award, put on your future calendars, May 22nd from 6 to 7:30 at Algonquin in the auditorium. It was there last year in the auditorium. They moved from the cafeteria, and I thought it was so nicely done. So it's nice that they are going to do that again there. And then the PTO's meeting, superintendent advisory things, as we hear from PTOs, things are going great with all their things. So, another one. It's not solar, but it's air conditioning, kind of. Keith, are all of them at Melican all?
Installed and ready to go.
Okay.
It's only gonna be 65 degrees through June 18th.
I got complaints that it's so hot. I'm so hot. School was so hot today. I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear.
It's those in between, when we're in these shoulders, these are the tough times to keep things regulated.
Well, also, talking about heat in those buildings, like, I know, every room, every floor, it's so different. That's the downside when you have these older buildings.
It is, and then the ability to control it just isn't there, and,
It's two temperatures on and off.
On and off,
pretty
I
much,
know
it's
it's
either
right.
wide open or closed.
Well, I at my preschool were the same thing, like the thermostat is 2 doors down from us in that room, and so by the time it gets to me, it has to be like 90 in that room for it just to get to like 70 in mine. So
And the variation, even with the activity that's in the school, it does have an impact on it. So, I'm starting to hear that this time of year, and the hope is that we don't get to those 90-degree days.
Especially with the delivery charges, we could.
I know, electricity
Turn
and
down.
all that, all of that stuff.
But the problem is that, obviously you don't want to be shutting things down too early, because then when you have to repressurize them, that sometimes creates issues for the larger, older buildings. So that's a constant game that Bud is playing, and he's usually pretty good at it. As long as we don't get a cold snap in late April, we're usually good.
No other school committee member reports? No educational policy at this time? Policy development and or distribution. So the policies that are listed here are the ones that were presented as first reads, second reads? First reads at the combined meeting. I said for us to put them onto ours so that we can just have any kind of discussion or anything that we had. I did look over them, and there was a couple little questions I had. One of them was about for the bullying prevention intervention policy. In the previous ones, it had expulsion mentioned. This one is not called out in paragraph 1 about expulsion. But then when you click the district's bullying prevention intervention plan, it mentions expulsion. And
As a repercussion?
as one of the, like students or staff members who engage in bullying, cyberbullying, or subject to a range of disciplinary sanctions, including but not limited to reprimand, detention, suspension, termination of employment, or other sanctions determined by the school. And expulsion is listed in that.
So
But
once this is approved,
then they'll
then we'll
redo
align the bullying
intervention.
plan.
Okay, yeah. So that was a thing, because again, that was dated from 21, so I assumed that it was, but I just wanted to make sure that that was, that
Can
clarified.
you send me that in an email?
And then, there is a strike-through, that says, except where bullying resulted in the students, it's only students is crossed off, but I think it has to be, the strike-through has to be students or, because it resulted in the staff member's termination. Same first paragraph of the A-155. So I looked at it and see the strike-through looks like it stopped at students, but I think it has to do or, also, like, resulted in the staff member's termination. So, just like that. But, yeah, so that was just
Okay.
one of the things that I noticed. I didn't have any major questions on anything else. But, I will suggest to the other committee members also, to get them, is it the end of the month you're doing it, May
Yes.
first, right? So by April 15th,
For, like, to get feedback.
to get feedback to you?
So I'll have Cheryl send out a reminder.
That actually just, I don't know if you read it, you know, that section, another strike through, it's still there in the new one. Like students, I wonder if the strike through was actually not even supposed to be there, because I don't remember having a conversation about that line.
So, except where bullying resulted in, it
Right.
should still say in the students or a step, so that students shouldn't be strike
I think
at
so,
all.
because in the new, like, what follows it is the newer policy, and it's still there. Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I could be wrong, maybe just check with.
So if you,
So
you
just-
can send that to me and I'll take a closer
Yeah.
look at it. And then feedback is due May 1st, and then we'll reconvene the joint policy subcommittee, and we'll take all the feedback and incorporate the edits.
okay,
in Preparation for our June combined.
okay, so you want, feedback, maybe Cheryl can send it out
I'll send
April,
a
or
reminder.
April 15th, and then have it due by the end of the month. Okay, perfect. Okay, any other requests or anything for policy? Does that work for you? Okay. Distribution of personnel report.
So in your packets, the personnel report. Let's see, 1 second. So just, we did have our network technology systems administrator did leave Northborough. And we had William Knapp, who is a Northborough resident, and he was a technician in Southborough, the Southborough Public Schools. He took on that position and started, I believe, last month, and has done a great job. Will did a great job for Southborough, and we're only hearing positive feedback. So that was an appointment.
Who was the person before?
Jen Tracy.
And Tracy.
And they left?
She took a different position
Out of our district?
out of the school system.
Out of us, okay.
Yep. And then the transfer, food services.
Where'd they transfer from?
I think just changed positions.
At the same school?
Correct. Role
Gotcha.
change, shift.
Next is communication, actions on minutes. We have approval of the capital planning subcommittee meeting minutes on October 22nd, 2024. Approval of open meeting minutes, March 5th, 2025. Approval of executive session meeting minutes of March 5th to be retained. And meeting minutes from the special open meeting of March 25th, 2025. So we have approval of 3, and then approval and retaining of 1 executive session meeting.
So you want 2 motions? Or 1?
You could so move.
So moved. So moved.
I said it was.
You said it well.
Yeah. Moved by Bryce, seconded by Kristen. Any discussion on any of them? Roll call vote, Joan,
Yes,
Kristen,
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes.
myself is a yes. Passes unanimously. We will be retaining those executive session meetings, meeting minutes. That was about security reasons, and that's why we are retaining them. for the sensitive topic that was discussed. I want to extend a thank you to Mariana for her meeting minutes, her notes. I think she was the only one that did it. So, thank you so much, Mariana. Appreciate it. Joan?
And then also Lauren Bailey for the executive session minutes.
Yes, and Lauren for the executive session minutes. Thank you, Joan.
Yep, good job on her part.
Yes. Future agenda items, Melican Yonder pouches, approval of contract food services management company, that will be a vote in May. So we're doing that, because the high school's not.
All 3 districts are, so
So all 3 are, but we're not gonna do it at a combined meeting, we're doing it
potentially. So we'll,
individually?
I think we need to see where we are after reviewing all the proposals.
Okay,
And then at that point, Becky and I can regroup with the chairs and see how best to move forward.
okay.
So I'll work closely with you and Chris Cavino and Chelsea Malinowski.
Okay.
How many proposals came in?
We received 4, and we are reviewing 2 to 3.
Okay.
NEF presentation, ELA presentation, retiree recognition, election officers, curriculum, instruction review process. Joan?
Just one thing to be added on to number 6, besides election of officers, we will also elect the 3 members from Northborough to serve on the supervisory union number 3.
Okay,
Add it to the list.
added.
Number 6A.
Got it. Any other things anybody needs to add? Agenda? No? Approval of bills and payrolls, we are up to date with that.
Maybe one coming over the next couple of days.
Couple days, another one coming. You ready, Bryce? You ready to click?
I got there before you.
I know you did. I know you did. You did good.
I'm so proud.
I know, I was too.
So the whole family.
Yeah. Audience sharing. No? Did you want to say, no? Okay, there we go. Any other business? There was no other business. Our next, scheduled school committee meeting will be Wednesday, May 7th. And the combined meeting is June 16th. If there's nothing else, I really don't want to end this meeting at 8:10, but
You're the chair.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Bryce, seconded by Kristen. Roll call vote. Joan?
Yes?
Kristen?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. We are adjourned at now 8:11 p.m.
Thanks, Joan.
May 10th.
Thank
The
you. Good
clock
night,
changed.
everybody.
We'll see you. Be well.
I don't